Hi, welcome to Parenting and Teaching with Richie Huffman. I'm Richie Huffman, President and CEO of Celebrate Preschools. On these podcasts, we'll be talking to real parents, teachers about what's going on at home, in the classroom, and everything in between. I hope you find these conversations informative, helpful, sometimes funny, and sometimes serious. So let's go ahead and get started. Hi, I'm Richie.
And this is Allie.
And today we are joined by John Lamb, the Assistant Branch Chief of Childcare's Subsidy Program. So welcome, John.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming in. I know your schedule is extremely busy.
It is, but it's great to be here.
Thank you. So I think that this is probably one of the most important podcasts yet, because the impact of this podcast or the discussion of this podcast, I think will have a huge impact on parents, teachers, and children through the subsidy program. So what I know so far, John, is that Governor Hogan has increased the child subsidy voucher that would allow more children to be a part of a high quality child care program.
That's correct.
Is that true?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about this program and what it's designed to do.
So the Childcare Subsidy Program is a program that's designed to help families and children who could not necessarily afford quality childcare. So the voucher program helps pay a portion of that cost.
Okay. So when I hear voucher, what does that mean?
So a voucher is really a certificate that's given to the parent for the child to take that voucher to a childcare provider of their choice to have the child placed in childcare.
Okay. So what do you think sparked this? I mean, this is major.
It is, and it's a long time coming. Childcare subsidies has not necessarily always been in the forefront of programs, but I think the governor and everyone around this program has seen that we needed to improve it. We needed more funding to better assist families, especially with quality childcare. The cost of care has gone up tremendously. We have continued to work our program so that we can our reimbursement rates can be higher. And we've also opened up the doors by increasing the income levels for families and children to assist them.
Yeah, you're spot on. I mean, as you know, I'm the CEO here at Celebrate, and that is our number one concern, the continuous increase in tuition for a weekly basis.
Yeah, it's a major difference. I mean, we've gone from basically doubling our income levels for families. So a family of four can make around a little bit over $70,000 and still be eligible for childcare assistance.
And that's up from what, 27,000?
From about 29.
Wow.
For a family of four. So
wow.
It's huge.
So a family of four making less than 29,000, you're probably not thinking about childcare. You're probably thinking about survival mode.
Correct. And sometimes, I think often more than sometimes parents make decisions for their children based off their financial ability to pay. So they may find other solutions for childcare, not necessarily that we would consider quality childcare.
Yeah. So they would pick sometimes unlicensed daycare centers, correct?
Correct. Or, sometimes parents make the decision to leave their children home, latchkey children, and maybe they wouldn't do that if they could afford the cost of care.
Wow. So what do you like? Let's talk a little bit about the impact of this. I mean,
so on August the 1st, we increased the income level limits, and we have not yet measured the impact. We won't know probably until another couple of weeks to see how that's going. But what's important is to get the word out there that the income limits have raised so that we can get families and children aboard and getting children who are eligible in Maryland and make sure that they're receiving this assistance that they're.
Where do these families start then? If we, I don't have children, but if and when I do, where do we start? Where do they look on the website? Is there a good form they can check out? And how do they start that application process?
So Childcare Subsidy is for an application. You can go online to our website to marylandpublicschools.org. There's links on there that will take you to the Childcare Subsidy forms and application. You can print the application from there, and then as part of that application, the instructions are attached. The requirements that are needed to make you eligible, and documentation, and the information where to send it to.
Yeah. And as before we went on, you and I were talking about, I mean, not only is this increase such important, not only for parents and getting high quality preschools, but also for our current, I was talking about our current teachers, like current preschool teachers that now can apply for these vouchers and get their children in high preschool, quality high preschools. And you were also talking about some of the folks that you work with.
So yes, when I worked at the Department of Social Services, we have case managers whose average salary is about $30,000 a year. Single parents, or not necessarily all single parents, but still that income was so low that they didn't qualify for childcare assistance, and now they will. If they can apply, and they will be eligible based off their income.
Yeah. Well, when we heard the news and I reached out to you and we had our call to learn more, I mean, you just, again, as I said, you blew me away. You were just so passionate and so eager to share and patient with us, and I appreciate that.
Oh, sure, you're welcome.
Where does that come from? I mean, what is this? I guess let me ask. Where does this new increase, or this it's not a new program. This program's been around for forever, right?
It is. It's a combination of federal and state dollars. So and there's been some increases recently from the federal government as well as the state. So it's made a huge impact.
Yeah. What kind of impact is it kind of on you?
Oh, I'm excited because I think that for one, my passion for this program, I've been doing childcare subsidy for about 30 years now. Wow. I've been a part of the program. And it's very disheartening when a family applies and you're $1 over the income limits and we can't assist you. And we know that, we have parents tell us, well, I have to leave my child alone. I'd rather not do that. Or, they find all alternatives that may not necessarily be the best for children. Yeah. Children belong in a stable environment where education is important, where they're learning to grow, develop, and continuity of care is important as well. So not having children going from one child care provider to another one, having this funding can stabilize that as well. Yeah. Because we found that some parents can afford to pay for blocks of childcare, which is interesting. I can afford to pay it for 4 months, and then I can't afford it anymore, so I do something different with my child. Then 4 months later, I can pay for another block of care. So again,
that's not healthy.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah. I mean, could you imagine being 3 or 4 years old, and in a matter of 6 months, you've been to 2 childcare providers, and
where'd my friends go?
Exactly.
Well, it goes back to the teachers and the people who are working 10-month salaries rather than the 12 months and not getting those paychecks during those couple months.
Is that what's going on?
I mean, that's how I look at it, because I know from that June to August time for teachers and even employees of the counties that are in schools or in school systems or the offices where they're not working those summers. And there's no paychecks coming in unless, at least for Baltimore County Public Schools, unless you have the specific bank of the county, you're not getting paid during those months.
Yeah. And I know Maryland's worked really hard on it. I know we call it kind of bridging the gap, right? Is this program to me really helps and supports that bridging of the gap between, families that can afford high quality preschools and those that are. I mean, this is incredible.
So that's the key thing. So families that can afford it, it's great. And this is an opportunity for those who cannot, who now may have an opportunity to come aboard and say, hey, we can afford, with the subsidy, sharing the cost, we can now do this.
Yeah.
We keep talking about families and parents too, but can you kind of define what a family actually is? If we have listeners who are single families or living with grandparents, and does their income count? What's the actual rule on that for people who are?
So grandparents are treated a little different. So fiscal custody cases or fiscal care cases, also known as caretaker relatives. So mainly if it's a grandparent or an aunt or an uncle who is caring for their nieces or nephews or a cousin, they can apply for childcare subsidy as well. We do count their income, but we also give disregards to their income. Okay. So a portion of their income we will take and we won't count. So for example, if I was raising 2 of my nieces or nephews, my income is say $40,000, I would be given a $10,000 disregard for the 2 children, and then my income would be based on $30,000 for the subsidy, which then would allow me have more subsidy and be maybe eligible where I wasn't before based off my gross income.
What about the example of if you're a single mom living with your mom and dad? How does that take all 3 in if the grandparents are still working?
So if as long as if you're 18 or older, then you're treated, your parents' income is not counted as part of the application.
So it's sole, even if you're an adult contributing to the care and the.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it would be 2 separate families.
So that's a benefit as well then.
Correct. Now, if you're a minor parent, we also offer assistance as well. We do look at the parents' income, but again, we provide disregards to some of the income to help the minor parent stay in school and for the child to be in childcare.
John, I really, the purpose of this is to really get the word out there and let these parents know that they have an option, right? There's a huge new option now to get their children in a high quality preschool. What would you say to them? I mean, how do we rah-rah this initiative, right? I mean, it's just like we've talked about before. It's like I said to you earlier. It's like why isn't this national news? And you're like, we probably just don't do a good job at advertising it, right? I would think this. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I've been in this industry for so long that I look at it much different. But then again, I say no because most of the families that come to our programs or to our schools love your program. It's amazing. Unfortunately, I can't afford it. And that's why we're so excited and the state's so excited about this new program. What would you tell these parents?
Apply. Don't assume that you're not eligible. There's a funding for it. Don't look at it as it's one of those government programs where I'm taking a handout.
Yeah.
It's not a handout. It's an opportunity for your child or your children to receive a better education, early education that's going to prepare them for school.
I like that way of looking at it.
Yeah,
Dude, you're such a. I mean, seriously, you're such a good guy.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, seriously. You talk the real deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just I can feel how passionate you are because I've struggled with that too, right? Like, is this as if I was in this situation, like, is this a handout? And we don't want these parents to make it to feel like it's a handout
or embarrassed by it in any way, right?
Yeah.
Well, what's great about this program is that you don't need to show up anywhere to apply. All you have to do is through the mail. Everything can be handled through the mail. There's no face-to-face interview. You fill out an application. You provide us certain documentation, which is on our website that we require, and you will get an eligibility decision. And if you're eligible, you'll get vouchers, and those vouchers will enhance your child's life. It's like my manager she looks at it as it's the child's first scholarship to education. And that's
scholarship's not a handout.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's
Right?
not. It's not.
It's a great way to look at it.
And it's education. This is, it's education. And no one can say or deprive a child of an opportunity to grow in a better environment. So don't look at it as a handout or a hand up. It's just an opportunity.
Yeah.
An opportunity for your child to have the same first class education as someone else who can afford it.
Yeah. That's such a great way to put it.
Yeah, I love that it's a scholarship.
Yeah.
What a cool way to look at that.
Yeah. Or, I know the state has had a lot of conversations around universal preschool, right? So what's the difference, right? I mean, when you were talking, I was like, that's like universal preschool. It's either free here or it's free there, but it's almost like mandatory. And here it is. Take advantage of these programs that are available for your child to benefit from.
Because the money's there.
Yeah.
And this is what it's allocated for. And if we don't spend it here, then we're at a loss.
Yeah.
And ultimately, the children are going to lose if we don't spend the money.
100%. And as we know, every parent wants the best for their child. So again, I can't thank everybody involved in increasing this. It's been incredible.
And the other thing too is for single parents, this is it's not a stigma, but we have intact families as well. Two family incomes.
Yeah.
Apply because you still may be eligible for this program.
Yeah. So if my wife and I made $35,000 a piece, I mean, we're in, and I think that's the gap that the governor was trying to close, right? Because there's still, we have families that come in today and do not put their children in our program because it's $15, $20 too much in their budget, in their family budget, and they can't afford it. $15 or $20. And we close that gap, but now we have another tool that we can use to say if it's greater than $15 or $20, here's another we'll call it the subsidy program or scholarship, whatever, right? But I don't think the title matters. It's the impact of this program.
Correct. So at the end of the day, you have a choice. There's funding available. Apply for it. Take the opportunity to enhance your child's life by given this assistance that they need.
How long does the whole process take then? What's the time frame for processing the application once it's received? If someone's in a hurry, how's that kind of work?
Actually, it goes quite quickly. It just depends on the actual parent making sure that they provide us all the information initially with the application. Mm-hmm. It can be as quick as 7 days.
Oh, wow.
John, is it a two-step process, like an application, and then once the application is like kind of glanced over once and it's like kind of pre-approval, then it goes to stage 2 where you start working on the other documentation?
No, really, it's an application verification. We enter the information into our system, and then it determines eligibility, and then if eligible, push a couple more buttons, and the vouchers come out.
Can you give us a quick example for those that maybe would hear this early and just give us some of the eligibility questions, or what would you call them? I'm sorry.
That's right. Eligibility questions.
Okay.
So if I'm a working parent, I'm going to need to provide 4 weeks of pay stubs or a month's worth of income.
So you have to be working.
You have to be, or in an activity. So you could be attending school.
Okay.
Then I'm going to need to provide proof of identity for all the household members.
Okay. You are who you say you are.
Exactly. You have to prove that you're a Maryland resident.
Okay.
That you also have a need for childcare.
Okay.
So just because you're working, you might not have a need. If it's a 2-family household and one parent doesn't work,
gotcha,
then you wouldn't actually have a need for the childcare.
Good point.
Mm-hmm.
If my child receives disability benefits, or if I receive disability benefits, we need that information as well, because that also could open the door for more services for your child who's receiving disability or is disabled, special needs. Let's see. If you're a single parent, you're going to provide some proof of child support, or that you are willing to cooperate with the child support process. So if I am a single parent and I'm currently receiving child support, we just need the documentation. If you are not currently receiving child support, then you have to be willing to pursue child support for all the children that are eligible to receive subsidy.
Okay.
I'm trying to think if that's pretty much all the things. So we have proof of identity, residency, make sure you're a Maryland resident, your income, proof of activity, and verification of your need. And there may be immunizations, which is a big one. So, but that's about pretty much it. If there's anything else we need as a result of reviewing your application, let's just say something else pops up and it's questionable, we will reach out to the parent and request that information in writing from the parent.
It sounds so simple to me.
It is. It really is.
Is there any? I guess I have 2 questions. Is there any reason why someone that would qualify not participate in this program?
I just cannot imagine.
I can't think of any reason why.
I'm sitting here racking my brain like it's almost like too good to be true. But thank God it is true. Mm-hmm. How many people? I don't know. I know the increase is fairly new, and I don't know if you've had a chance to look at numbers yet. It's only been in place 30 days or less than
less
that,
than 30
right?
days.
So I mean, would you think 7 out of 10? I'm just trying to give our listeners, hope here of how good this program is. Would everybody qualify? Would everybody be accepted, or if they met these qualified questions?
Yes. So as long as they meet our criteria, our eligibility criteria, they fall under the income levels, they have an activity, they're willing to have their children immunizations. Yeah. Yes, they're going to qualify.
I'm doing my best over here. I'm struggling with trying to poke holes in this thing. And I just can't find any holes.
Right. And everything he listed is stuff you either A, already have, or B, would need for childcare anyways.
That's a great point.
It makes sense, because I was listening to a tour in Celebrate the other day at one of our locations, and they asked for all those things. They asked for a license and proof of residency and child immunizations, and it just makes so much sense.
Wow. Well, John, we want to thank you today. Is there anything else? I mean, the only thing we can do is just continue to rally this effort.
Let the parents know that the program is there. There's funds available, and they may qualify, and just submit the documentation.
Could you give them a website that they can go to?
Yes, it is the
MarylandPublicSchools.org.
Thank you.
I wrote it down. I was ready to check it out. Yep.
So again, it's what, Allie?
MarylandPublicSchools.org, and you can find the requirements and application online.
Yes, you can follow the subsidy link on there.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us today, John.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us today on Parenting and Teaching with Richie Huffman.
Thanks for tuning in. And remember, childhood only comes this way but once.
For more information, head on over to richiehuffman.com.
I'm Richie.
And I'm Allie.
And we look forward to seeing you again on another podcast.